Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dreamers and believers, you see, the world loves to talk about perfection. Every day you're bombarded with the idea that unless you're perfect, flawless skin, a perfect resume, a perfect relationship, a perfect Instagram feed, you don't matter. But let me tell you something, and I say this from the bottom of my heart. Perfection is a trap. It's a beautiful lie dressed in shiny packaging. It tells you to wait until everything is just right. Wait until you're ready. Wait until you're ready. Wait until you figure it all out. And in that waiting, most people spend their entire lives being average. But obsession is messy. Obsession doesn't wait. Obsession doesn't ask for permission. It burns in your eyes, keeps you up at night, makes you feel like you're losing your mind. And yet, somehow, it feels like the only thing that truly makes you feel alive. When I started out in this industry, I wasn't the most handsome guy. I didn't have the perfect physique. No six pack, no industry godfather, no blueprint to success. Just a boy from Delhi with too much hair, too much emotion, and an unexplainable madness to prove himself. People told me to tone it down, to act more like a star. But I wasn't interested in acting like anyone else. I was obsessed with being the best version of myself. And that, my friends, makes all the difference. Perfection would have told me to wait. Wait until I had the right look, the perfect dialect, the polished background. But obsession said, you've got one shot, make it count. So I showed up. I gave it everything, sometimes too much. And people noticed, because obsession has a rhythm that catches attention. You can't ignore someone who's burning from within. Let me tell you something else. Obsession is not glamorous. It's not the pretty side of ambition you see in movies or motivational videos. It's lonely. It's painful. It means saying no to parties, missing out on easy joys, and constantly questioning yourself. But it also means you're growing. You're pushing the boundaries of what you thought was possible. Do you think I got where I am because I was perfect? Far from it. I've made mistakes. I've taken risks that blew up in my face. I've danced in movies that made people laugh at me. Not with me. But I never stopped. Because I wasn't chasing perfection. I was chasing passion. And that passion made me relentless. That obsession made me iconic. And here's the truth, people are not inspired by perfection. They're inspired by honesty, by grit, by the raw, unfiltered journey of someone who refuses to give up. Perfection can feel cold, untouchable. But obsession? Obsession is human. It's real. It's a kind of fire that ignites others. I want you to think about what you're obsessed with. Not what you're good at. Not what pays well. Not what sounds impressive on paper. But what makes your heart race. What would you wake up at 4 a.m. to do, even if no one clapped for you? That is your magic. Chase it. Feed it. Defend it like it's the most precious thing you own. Don't aim to be perfect. Aim to be obsessed with your dream, so much so that people start calling you crazy. That's when you know you're on the right path. Because the ones who change the world, who rewrite the rules, who leave a mark, they're never the perfect ones. They're the mad ones. The ones who couldn't sleep until they made it happen. The ones who turned their obsession into their legacy. So go on, fall in love with your madness. Let it take over. Be messy, be imperfect, but above all, be obsessed. Because in that beautiful chaos lies something far greater than perfection, greatness, failure. Such a small word, but it has the power to break the strongest of hearts. It whispers in your ear late at night, asking, what if you're not good enough? It shows up when you least expect it. After months of hard work, after sacrifices, after you have given something every last piece of you, and yet it still doesn't work out. And in that moment when you're standing there alone with your disappointment, you have two choices. You can crumble or you can rise. And if you rise, my friend, rise like a king. I've failed more times than I can count. Films that I thought would change the world barely made a dent. Ideas I believed in with all my heart were laughed at. I've been called overrated, overhyped, even outdated. And you know what? I heard every word. I didn't block it out. I didn't pretend to be unaffected. No, I took it all in. Because that's what failure does. It humbles you, it breaks your ego. It shatters the illusion that you're invincible. But once you've been broken, you have the chance to rebuild yourself into something stronger. When a king fails, he doesn't hide. He doesn't run from the battlefield. He stands taller. He learns, he sharpens his sword, and he goes back with fire in his eyes. That's what I did. And that's what you must do. Because failure doesn't mean you're finished. It means you're fighting. It means you're trying. It means you're still in the game. Let me tell you a secret. Every time I failed, something amazing has happened. Not out there in the world, but inside me. I found out who I really was. Not the star, not the actor, not the public figure, just the man. The man who was willing to bleed for what he believed in. The man who could take a hit and still smile. The man who could fail like a king because he knew his crown didn't come from applause. It came from resilience. You see, anyone can walk through life when everything's going well. When you're winning awards, trending online, getting standing ovations, of course it feels good. But that's not the real test. The real test is how you walk when nothing's working, when you're doubting every move, when you're being judged, dismissed, mocked. That's when your character is revealed. That's when you find out if you're made of glass or fire. When people spend their lives trying to avoid failure, they play it safe, they do what's expected, they follow the rules. And yes, maybe they don't fall too hard, but they also don't soar, because the price of greatness is risk, and the risk of trying is failure. But if you're going to fail big and to fail big, better fail loud. Fail with your heart on your sleeve and your eyes on the stars. Don't go down quietly, go down in style. When one of my films flops, I don't pretend it didn't happen. I own it. I face the audience. I smile and say, let's try again. I smile and say, let's try again. Because one failure doesn't undo years of passion, hard work, or dreams. One failure doesn't define you. What defines you is what you do next. Pick yourself up, dust off the pain, learn what you can, cry if you must. But then straighten your collar, take a deep breath, and walk back into the arena like you belong there. Because you do. Remember, kings don't win every war, but they keep showing up, they keep fighting, they keep leading. And in the end, they're remembered not for their perfection, but for their persistence, their courage, and the grace with which they carried their crown, even in defeat. So the next time you fail, don't feel ashamed. Don't hide your scars. Wear them with pride. Because each one tells a story that you were brave enough to try, bold enough to dream, and royal enough to rise. And let me tell you one last thing. The world bows to those who rise after falling, not just once, but again, and again, and again, and again, and again. Let me tell you something simple but powerful. The world is loud. Everyone's trying to be seen, to be heard, to be followed, to be liked. It's noisy, competitive, sometimes even chaotic. And in the middle of all this, you're sitting there wondering, how do I stand out? The answer isn't in shouting louder. It isn't in begging for attention or following trends like a shadow. The answer is this: be so good, they can't ignore you. I didn't become Shah Rukh Khan because I was born with a silver spoon or looked like a Greek god. No, I became who I am because I decided every single day to give more, to learn more, to push more, even when no one was watching, especially when no one was watching. Because greatness isn't built under spotlights, it's built in silence. In those hours when you're practicing alone, when you're failing and getting up, when you're working on your craft with the kind of obsession most people will never understand. You want to be an actor, a dancer, a singer, an entrepreneur. Then don't just aim to be good enough to get in the door. Be so good they can't close the door on you, even if they try. When I walked into this industry, I didn't walk in with a golden key. I walked in with hunger. I didn't have a famous last name. I didn't have the connections. But what I had, what I still have, is that fire. That desire to learn, to evolve, to keep becoming better, no matter how much I've achieved. You know why? Because being noticed once is luck. Being remembered forever, that's earned. And you don't earn that by trying to impress people. You earn that by becoming undeniable. So good that even the ones who don't like you respect you. So good that the world doesn't just see you, they feel your presence. But here's the catch. It's not easy. Being that good takes time. It takes discipline. It takes sacrifice. It takes sacrifice. It means saying no to comfort. It means working on your craft while others are scrolling through life. It means taking criticism and turning it into fuel, not wounds. It means waking up every day with the mindset that you're still a student, still hungry, still chasing something bigger than applause. Ade, you think my biggest roles came because someone handed them to me? No, I had to prove myself again and again. Even after success, I had to keep showing the world that I wasn't just a moment. I was a moment. And every time someone thought they could ignore me, I made sure my work reminded them why they couldn't. Let your work speak so loudly. You don't have to. Let your results scream through the noise. Whether you're creating, building, dreaming, put so much soul into it that the world has no choice but to pay attention. You don't have to be the loudest voice in the room. You just have to be the one that echoes long after the room goes quiet. And that only happens when you give everything you have. The everything you have. When you stop trying to blend in and start becoming so skilled, so powerful, so relentless that ignoring you is no longer an option. People will try to overlook you. They'll underestimate you. Let them. That's fuel. Let them think you're just another name, just another dreamer. And then, while they're distracted, build your empire. Sharpen your skills. Stay humble. Work in silence. And when the moment comes, show up like a storm. Because talent might get you through the door, but excellence makes sure you own the room. Not because you shouted the loudest, but because your work spoke the truth that you are so good, so prepared, so undeniable, that even the world's silence couldn't mute you. So go. Become that version of yourself, quietly, fiercely, relentlessly, not for the likes, not for the claps, but for the legacy, for the feeling of knowing you became unforgettable, not because the world gave it to you, but because you earned it. Life will hand you a script the moment you're born. It'll tell you where to go, what to do, how to behave, and even who to become. And even who to become. And if you're not careful, you'll live your entire life performing in someone else's story, never realizing you are meant to be the author, not the actor. I've seen it. I've lived it. Everyone had an idea of who I should be. You can't be a hero, they said. You're too ordinary looking. You don't have the body, you're too intense, too unconventional. But you know what I did with the script? I tore it up, not out of anger, but out of love. Love for my own journey, my own voice, my own way of doing things. Because I knew deep in my bones that I wasn't born to recite someone else's lines. I was born to write my own. We live in a world where fitting in is easier than standing out. Where you're told to take the safe job, choose the practical dream, follow the well-lit path. But where's the magic in that? Where's the magic in that? Where's the madness, the fire, the sleepless nights, and the butterflies that remind you you're alive? People often ask me, Shah Rukh, what's the secret? And I tell them there is no secret. I just refuse to be boxed in. I said no to the labels, no to the limits. I didn't care if my story didn't match the usual plot. I was willing to play the villain, the romantic, the rebel, the misfit, the mess, all in one lifetime. Why? Because it was my script, my life, my rules. But don't get me wrong, writing your own script doesn't mean life gets easy. In fact, it becomes harder. Because now there's no roadmap, no cheat code, no one to blame when things go wrong. It's all you. Your choices, your mistakes, your triumphs, but that's also what makes it beautiful. You're not living a second-hand life. You're living one that's authentically yours. No. There will be times when you feel lost. Times when you question your path because it doesn't look like anyone else's. And that's exactly when you must remind yourself, it's not supposed to. You're not here to copy-paste someone else's journey. You're here to create something so unique, so honest, so wildly you, that the world has no choice but to take notice. When I danced with my arms wide open on a mustard field, people laughed. When I did 5 romantic films in a row, they said, he's typecast. When I switched to intense, offbeat roles, they said, oh, I mess with the formula. And yet here I am, not because I followed what they wanted, but because I followed what felt right to me. The world tried to write me one way, but I kept picking up the pen. And you have that pen too. You don't have to follow the plot that was written for you. You don't have to play the role society handed you. Be the one who flips the genre. Be the comedy in a world full of drama. Be the poetry in a system full of rules. Be the unexpected plot twist. And don't wait for approval. Approval. Don't wait for the audience to cheer before you start performing. The applause will come later. First, you must believe in your own story. Speak your truth. Make bold choices. Take the long route if that's what it takes. Because once you start writing your own script, you become unstoppable. If you're no longer limited by what has been, you're powered by what could be. So go ahead, live loudly, fail proudly, dream ridiculously. And if someone tells you it doesn't make sense, smile and say, that's because this story isn't finished yet. Your life is not a repeat telecast. It's a once in a lifetime premiere. And you, my friend, are the writer, the director, the hero, and the storm. Don't just live a life you can explain. Live one you can feel. Live one worth telling.